If you have an audience on YouTube or anywhere else, it's not enough to just put out any random piece of content. You have to know your audience. You have to get and keep their attention and speak to what they actually want. Today's guest has a huge amount of wisdom on how to do exactly that. Diana Gladney is an entrepreneur, video creator, and video marketing consultant. She's worked with Amazon, Google, Social Media Examiner, Ecamm, TubeBuddy, and many more. Diana's all about helping entrepreneurs simplify the video creation process to amplify their business and their brand using video. Stand by for knowledge bombs. Welcome to the Story Greenlight podcast, where we're all about empowering creators like you to tell your stories, connect with your audience, and create the impact that you were put on this planet to make. My name is Jeff Barch. I'm a coach, author, and entrepreneur with over 20 years of experience shaping content for ABC, NBC, Universal, Disney, Apple, and a whole bunch of others. My team and I support YouTube creators with followings in the hundreds to the many millions. At Story Greenlight, we believe that you matter, your message matters, and the world needs to hear what you have to say. Diana Gladney, how are you?
I am doing fantastic, sir. How are you?
I am doing equally fantastic. I am stoked to have you here. For people who have not met you, I'm excited to introduce you to the Story Greenlight community. Tell us who you are, who do you help, who's Diana?
100%. So I'm definitely pumped and excited to be here. My name is Diana Gladney. I'm a native out of St. Louis, Missouri, and I'm the youngest of 6 and an aunt to many. So after a while, you just stop counting once you hit double digits. So I'm proud to be a super aunt. I help entrepreneurs simplify the video creation process, which means that whether you're getting into video for the first time and the tech is bothering you, or just really try to understand like the social behaviors across platforms like YouTube or even something like a TikTok, then that's my goal, is to make sure that you can share your message using video, but also not be stressed out about video and just get back to the reason why you even bought the camera to begin with, which is not to be a tech expert, but just look nice and do stuff like this.
Right
so
on.
that's me in a nutshell.
Very cool. So I'd be curious to know, over the last years where it's become so obvious that video is the big thing, there are so many different ways that one could go with video. How did you decide to say, hey, these are my people? How did you get there?
Very frustratingly, if I must say. It was not like
I smell
a
a story. I smell a story
Yeah.
here.
Oh, yeah, for sure. So like I knew, like, okay, let's go back before the beginning. It was really, I started having this incredible plan. I was working a regular 9-to-5 job. I worked in banking, and I just know one day I started having this incredible pain, and it just would not go away. Fast forward 16 months from that day, I'm still, in the worst pain I've ever felt, but I'm now having to have emergency surgery, only to wake up from that emergency surgery realizing that I had stage 4 endometriosis. And there's women listening, or, spouses or friends of people that understand that's a word that you don't hear until you know somebody that's like suffering with that disease. And so they wake up and they think, like any young 20-something, like life is going to be fine. I've been cured. And they're like, no, you're actually going to have this debilitating little disease for as long as they can foresee. And I'm like, okay, so here we go.
Wow.
So I came back from that simply because it wound up being, unfortunately, that I almost died. And I did not expect any of that kind of stuff. Again, I wake up thinking you take ibuprofen, you expect it to work. That was my same concept. Like, I'm thinking I'm going to be fine. Not that I literally almost died, or, you're standing at death's door. So when I woke up from that whole experience, I was very different. Like, going to work didn't feel the same. Playing with my nieces and nephews didn't feel the same, because I wanted to make sure that I am not just being here and I'm living life in the eventualities of things, like, oh, eventually I'll do that. Eventually I did. It just, things became way more important. And so for me, I needed to figure out what my purpose was and why am I here? It became very, very important to me, which led me to YouTube searching. I'm like, okay, well, I know I got something that I can do, and started with, I can help maybe entrepreneurs if they're just getting started, understand the federal and state side of things, to set up a business just to get things going. I was like, that's something I know I could teach, I could do, and, at least start something to not just be stuck working a 9-to-5 job all the time. So that YouTube search led me to my first business coach that had a tremendous amount of YouTube content. And I just started binging it like crazy. One thing led to another. Now I'm on the email list, and the email back and forth started a conversation just based on their drip sequence. And it just felt like I was talking to a regular person. It didn't feel like I was in some kind of funnel or something.
And if I can jump in, when did this happen? Because there was a time I was learning about internet marketing in the mid to late 2000s, where the sleaze and the smarm was just, I just wanted to take a bath. And I didn't know any better at the time. I thought, well, I guess this is what everyone's doing. This is what I should do too. Mm-hmm. I just felt gross. And so just to come across people who they know how to communicate and they know how to be real. When was this?
This was in 2016, early 2016.
Okay.
So I had surgery in 2015, June of 2015. Okay. And then so a year had passed, like recovery and all that extra other stuff. So when the beginning of the year started to come in 2016, I was like, okay, I got to do something. I got to figure something out. So I came across my coach in that time frame in 2016. Mm-hmm. And so right after that, it's like, I wasn't too worried about like the internet sleaze. And you definitely could tell those people that were just like promoting something to get you to buy something, just to promote something else, to get you to buy something else kind of a thing. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, it just didn't even feel attractive. So that never even bothered me. I just would think if I wanted to get something, like I'll know it when I see it, or I feel really comfortable. And so I just kind of went with that. So I ignored everybody else and just went with like who felt like I was doing, who they basically were the model of when I get to accomplishing what I said I wanted to do, which was like, I felt like I sucked at sales. So I'm like, well, I know I got to pick that skill up. And they were able to communicate something that helps somebody to make a purchasing decision or decide if it's not right for them or not. And that felt authentic to what I wanted to do. That's what made me want to work with him. He felt like a regular person.
Very cool. So you found your coach, found your mentor. Where'd you go from there?
Well, he had me to go into the depths of video by starting doing my first video, which like, it was like call number 2 in like working with him. And I'm like, are you serious? Like, I don't take photos. Like, I don't take videos. Uh-oh. I don't do any of this stuff. Like, this is not like most people, they get into video, like maybe a social butterfly. And it's like, no, I was the person like, here, give me the camera and I'll take the little click for you. But he's like, no, you need to do video. And I'm like, this guy has no idea who he's talking to. Like, like he is tripping. So, but I had like a half of a second of a thought, like just remembering a portion from Think and Grow Rich by Napoleon Hill.
Yeah.
Where he said that Andrew Carnegie asked him if he would write this book, if he would go around and do all of eventually what he went to do, but he wouldn't get paid. And he was like, same kind of a thing, like a half a second of thought. He was like, yes, Mr. Carnegie, I can do it and you can count on me. Well, that's like that kind of a moment for me, because on the inside, I truly felt like, hell no, he don't know who he talking to. I don't take pictures, photos, and all the rest. But at the same time, a little voice enough snuck through to say, I didn't hire him to still be the same person. Like, obviously, it's going to be discomfort. So I just said, yes, I'm going to do it. And he was like, are you, he was shocked because he knew we talked about it. And he was like, you're going to do it. And I'm like, yes, I'm going to do it. He's like, you're going to do it. I'm like, yes, I'm going to do it. So I had to like say it 3 times. And he's like, okay, do a video today. And went out.
And you went, ah.
I'm like, next week, maybe. Are you sure? Like, we could prolong this a little while. No. So here comes me with a bootleg smartphone that felt like a dumb phone, because I wasn't thinking get a phone with like a good camera or none of that stuff. So I'm walking around the house. I'm looking at videos like, well, where are they standing? I'm trying like corners of the room, going outside, went outside to the car, eventually got the Whitney Houston lip sweat thing going on. It's hot. It's like 1,000 degrees. The humidity is out the wazoo. I'm just like, this is crazy. So I sat and I did the video, and it's just supposed to be like 90 seconds or less. And next thing I know, I was like, I looked back at it and I was like, you know what? That wasn't that bad. And I just kept doing it after that. He challenged me to do 30 videos.
Very cool. So talk about being dumped into the deep end of the pool here.
Mm-hmm.
So what happened next?
that challenge to do 30 videos, and it's like, don't matter how long it takes. Obviously, you hope like maybe 2.5 months or something. But he's like, it doesn't matter how long it takes. Just keep doing the videos in at least 90 seconds or less. Well, I noticed with every video that I was publishing and putting out into this private Facebook group, so you'd have accountability and stuff, I'm noticing everybody else's stuff looked better than mine. And so I'm like, this smartphone stuff ain't gonna work because mine looked like a dumb phone. And it looked like you got Vaseline covering the lens. Like, that's how bad it was. And so I'm like, well, how do they, it just made me start asking a bunch of questions. How do they get their sound like that? Or why don't you hear, this noise and I'm getting this? So every new video, I was noticing something else is wrong with the video. And so I started searching YouTube. And one person told me that they were using a DSLR camera. And I'm like, well, what the heck is that? It sounds like some medication. So I'm like, okay, well, what is a DSLR camera? And that search led me into just researching content and around like how to use a camera, or like best camera for YouTube, best camera for video, entrepreneurs, whatever. And then I came across like the whole like concept of, oh, there's people that know what the heck they're doing around making it look and sound like this. But I just still didn't believe I could do it. But I was just curious. So I just kept trying to improve. Fast forward, 30 videos turn into 60 videos, turn into 90 videos, because even once I got to the end of the 30 video challenge, which took me like 6 months to do, I still wasn't like satisfied like with the way that it looked. I'm like, yes, I hit the number, but the image that I see in my mind isn't there. But when I started searching for more content, I just got really passionate about getting better. And the more I started to speak, the more I felt that message start to come out. And so at that time, my messaging shift from helping women, honestly get into personal development and get going so they can start a business, to now I got more interested about the video stuff. So now I'm getting interested into doing video because I'm fixing issues. And I'm like, well, I didn't find a competent video about this, so I'm going to make one.
Go out and make it.
Yeah. So that was the thing. I'm like, it took me like 6-7 videos to come up with the right answer. And I'm like, nobody needs to find these 6 or 7 videos or hope that they find all of them to get the small answer that I was looking for. So I just figured like, surely there's somebody else out there like me. So I'm going to make that a video about how I found this answer and what to do to fix XYZ problem. Well, it turns out it was other people like me, and my audience from the small grouping that I had on YouTube was like less than 100 people, preferred those videos to what I was talking about already. And I also was getting more passionate about the video and the tech side of stuff more so than the previous stuff that I was talking about. So my messaging started to morph.
That the messaging thing is so often overlooked, yet it's such an important, it's the elephant in the room for so many people. They think, I want to be making content, but number one, what am I going to be talking about? Mm-hmm. And how do I actually go about communicating it in the right way to the right people? And that whole world of messaging, I know there are a handful of people who talk about it. I don't think people really realize how big of a deal the idea of messaging is. I'm hearing your story. I'm thinking about mine, and my messaging has gone through twists and turns and dips and squigglies and scribbles on the page, and it's just been all over the place. Do you think there's a way? Is there a way to short circuit some of that, or is it just people have to do what we both did and just take the next step and just slog through the mud?
I think some of that is an uncovering process. And I think that's why you go through the twists and the turns. At least that's what I believe, because I don't think, like, even if I went through the coaching and I did all the same steps or did something better, if there was something better available, I don't think I would have landed any sooner to the same conclusion of what. I think it's an uncovering process because you're growing and you are steadily taking more and more of the label off of maybe what you thought you should be or who you could be. Like, you're having to do that discovery process. And it's such an internal dialogue that nobody really truly can coach you through. You can only grow through those experiences. And that's how, like, I think for me personally, I got ultimately to like my core belief system of the why I'm doing this. I think ultimately, like, you'll start with the closest topic that you think that you want to talk about, and then you explore it, and you'll quickly find out either this is for you or it's not, and you want to redirect. And that's exactly what it was like for me. And I know I've listened to your story before. And so like you, even like taking on that internship and like starting to work in video and stuff like that, like I get it. It's that sometimes that really small thing that uncovers a little bit more. It's like, I really like this, or I really want to explore this more. And I just think it's like an uncovering process. I don't think you can find it or get there sooner. I think it's an uncovering process.
There's a quote from Michelangelo that he says that the job of every sculptor is to reveal the statue inside the block of marble. So you're chipping away until you reveal that thing in there. So fast forward, here you're working with Amazon and Google and Ecamm and TubeBuddy and all these guys. How did you get there, and what are you doing right now?
I feel like that's a loaded question. The how, it's, to be honest with you, Jeff, it's like, I wish I could say like I had some super elaborate or strategic plan. But if I'm being very, very honest, like, yes, you'll do the work, and yes, you are trying, and you'll pay for courses and you'll go through things. But if I'm being very, very honest, all I had was a little bit of faith, and I kept adding to that faith. And the day I quit my job, like, things have happened since that day that I could not have planned so well. Like, there's no way I could have known what steps would have attracted Google. There's no way I would have known what steps would have attracted me to work with some company like Social Media Examiner or TubeBuddy. Like, I wish that, you know what I'm saying, I knew what the golden ticket was. And I'm like, yeah, I planned this from day one. No, I had hopes, but it was just like a lot of blessings, a lot of work, and just graciously, people were willing to, once they saw me or whatever, they were attracted to what I was doing or what have you. So I don't know, some of these opportunities are just honestly blessings that I couldn't have really planned for. It's like you hope that you get some of these things. And I definitely wanted all of it, right? It's like to say, and like for me, it's like always like the auntie clout of talking to my nieces and nephews, and like, yeah, it was like, guess what? We got a phone from Google this week. We're testing it, we're reviewing it, we're talking about it, blah, blah, blah.
Nice.
That's, it's mind blowing. So I wish I could say like it was some super elaborate plan that I did. Yes, I did some work, and we could talk about whatever you want around it. But I just think a lot of that is a whole lot of blessings than just like gratefulness rolled into just being in position and after doing the work.
We talked about how you started off doing your first video, then you did a whole bunch of videos. And I also happen to know that you've done a bunch of live streaming work. I'd be curious to know, what's your take on where online media is these days between produced pieces and live streaming? And I hear in my world, in my circles, I hear so many people talking about going live and doing live streaming. And I hear a lot of other people saying, it's like, produced pieces are the evergreen content. They have, the ranking juice. They're searchable, all the things. What's your take between those two?
I would say you need both. Rightly so. Any brand, any business, any personality, you righteously need both, because when you are thinking of what you're creating that's going to best serve your audience, they need both, which is why you need it. And so you're doing the things that are going to best serve them. And live streaming helps to connect on a one-to-one person level that only sitting literally, actually physically in person can do. There's no other medium of communication that can do that. Yes, podcasts are great. Yes, being on the phone with somebody is great. But when you sit and you can see those little quirks that they do, or the smile or something that reminds you of such and such, or, all those little things, you connect with them and it's in real time. That only happens in person. But when that person is searching for problems, they aren't searching for a live stream, nor if the answer even is in a live stream, they don't want to sit for 56 minutes to watch that. They're needing to sit for 5 or 6 minutes because they're in the midst of a crisis in their world. And so that recorded piece best serves them. And then when they want to connect with you and go deeper, that's that piece. So that's my whole concept, is that you need to be creating content that connects deeper with your existing people, but also goes wider to branch you out into reaching new audiences and those people that you can still serve. And so the recorded piece helps to reach wider. The live streaming content really helps to go deeper.
I love that. I've not ever heard someone verbalize it like that. I think that's a really smart way to approach things. And I will say, I mean, it's pretty much obvious to people who pay any attention that attention spans just in general are, they're shrinking by the minute, by the second. And whether you're going on a live stream or whether you're creating a produced video, it is super important to grab people's attention and to get them hooked in. I know you have some thoughts on this because I've seen you talk on this before, and I'm sitting down in the audience. I'm going, okay, I just take the picture of the notes. Okay, this is good stuff. So for people who are saying, like, how do I get my audience's attention and keep them around? How can I get their attention in the first place?
I love to start off with the elephant in the room. Every industry, every need. I don't care if you're like pouring concrete and you're talking about construction on your YouTube channel. Like, there's always an elephant in the room because it starts with like a confusion point that somebody's having. They're in the state of confusion, trying to get to a point of clarity. The starting with the elephant in the room when you first kick off a video is what's going to capture their attention because it's the thing that is about them. It's not making it about you. You'll see like Uber professionals with like PhDs and all this stuff. And I don't have anything against that, but it's just like, my name is Dr. So-and-such, and I've been in business. It's like one of those bootleg commercials that everybody skips on TV. Or like growing up, you would see it's like everybody had like that Channel 46, whatever kind of bootleg channel. It's just like, no, you skip past that one. So if you're trying to tune into that person's internal station or what's important to them, address what's actually important to them or why they clicked on a video. It's no guesswork. You had a title, you got a description, you had a thumbnail. We pretty much know what the gist of the video is. It's no surprise. But what is surprising to people is actually to be served, or this video actually was good, or it actually worked. So I just like to start off like with the first 5 to 8 seconds, address the elephant in the room to really start speaking to the issues, the problems, and the pain points that person has. And then from there, if you get those first 5 to 8 seconds, you can eventually carry that into, if you need it to be 50 to 80 minutes or 5 to 8 minutes, whatever best serves the person.
So I'm crafting a hook for a YouTube video. What are the things that I need to be thinking about beyond speaking directly to the pain point?
For sure. It actually goes into one of the things that my mentor teaches, which is his pastor framework, which is essentially, he teaches copywriting, Ray Edwards. So it's writing the words that sell. Well, we're now speaking the words that's going to sell them that you have their answer. So that pastor framework, just as an acronym, starts with the person, the problem, and their pain point. So I always will go there with the specific thing. And if we think about the elephant, we can go there. So for example, we're both using Shure SM7B microphones. And somebody may be curious, like, is this the best microphone for a podcast? Well, I already know that they want to know that answer, but based on the who it is that I'm speaking to or the where it is that they're having problems with, I know the medium that they want to use is podcasting. I now want to think about what other issues will they potentially come up with. Based on this, I'm going to start with addressing this core interest point that they have. So I'm going to say, you may be curious if the Shure SM7B is a great mic for podcasting, or if you can get something a little bit cheaper like the Rode Pod mic. In today's video, I'm actually going to compare these two to let you know what do you need to do if you want to get one or the other, and which one I think is best if you're just getting started with a podcast. That intro is attractive to them because I already know where you're at. I know what you've been searching for. I did the research. So I'm just addressing that and speaking to that point. And then I'm always going to be doing what I call like that NLQ, that next logical question. And I'm always thinking about where do you want to go next, or what's most important to them next. And then let's transfer each point or each intro into that. And like, obviously, I go with the skipping the intros for the most part, or the bumper videos or whatever. It's fine if you have them, but some people get into like 15, 20 seconds of whatever the heck is going on. Like,
no thanks.
It's like, I don't understand, but it's terrible.
Not a fan.
No.
The idea of the next logical question. So someone might be saying, it's like, okay, so is this something that we address in the hook before the body of the video, or is that something we tease at the top, or where does that next logical question thing start getting seated?
So in the process that I teach around this, especially when you're crafting an intro, it is going to be somewhere embedded in the intro because you want to start off with, again, the elephant in the room. We want to address their common questions or their pain points that is surrounding that question. So Shure SM7B, Rode PodMic video example. So now I'm going to say, and you can do this as optional. It's like, and if you really want to know how to get the Rode PodMic to sound like the Shure SM7B, make sure you stick around to the end of the video. I'm going to show you exactly the steps to do this, to do that. So that's a next logical question.
That right there is what we call, in story terms, you have opened a story loop.
Yep.
You're dangling that carrot. They say, ooh, tell me more. Gonna keep watching, gonna tell me more. And that is a fundamental function of storytelling. It's, and people talk about story loops and they say, oh, well, that sounds really complicated. No, it's just asking a question. Or in this case, you're referencing a question that they might have that they probably want to have answered. You're not being a jerk about making them wait, but you're just making them wait.
Well, the thing is, like, they always have a primary concern and like a secondary concern. So that's what separates the next logical question thing about, like, should I put it in the tip number 1? So if you got 3 tips for this video, it's like, no, it's not even like the strategic placement or anything like that. I'm putting it in the intro because that is where that's the part of the video most people are going to see. You're rarely going to get to where every person that clicked on the video also it has 100% rate when they get to the end of the video. You may rarely ever only see that happen on a few select instances, but you know that you have 100% of the people clicking on the video, and you at least can work to get that first 5 to 8 seconds of their attention so that you can address 2 things with them. Is this the right video for you, and are you in the right place, or should you leave now? I want them to know if this video is for you, to stay. And if it's not for you, leave immediately. I don't need extra analytics that are going to be having me look and thinking I need to change something to better serve my people when you shouldn't be here to begin with. You're in the wrong spot or maybe the wrong video. So that's my whole approach when it comes to like crafting like a very strong intro, because you need to be addressing their concerns so that they know if this is right or if it's not or where they should go or whatever. And they'll be glad if you did have a second video that, like, if you're looking to see how to set up the Shure SM7B, that's not this video. And like, they'll be like, ooh, thank you. Where should I go? I actually put a link in the description if you want to check that out. But let's dive into tip number 1. It makes them feel good. They are not mad at all or redirecting it or anything because you're still solving their pain point by telling them this is not it for you. Don't even waste your time here. So that's my whole thing. And then the next logical question comes up again at the end when you're doing, quote unquote, the outro. But it shouldn't really be the end of the video. It should be transitioning them into that next logical question because, okay, great. They knew now that, let's say they can get the pod mic to sound pretty close to the Shure SM7B, save them a few $100s. Great. But what are the best settings for that Rode pod mic with the Rodecaster Pro setup that they have? How do they tweak it so that they can have radio quality sound with no extra things, or maybe it's one free plugin that they could use? That's that next logical question that they may have with that. And so that next video serves them.
I love that idea of, a lot of people will say at the end of your video, the whole point is to say, hey, you need to go watch another video. Here's the one here's the one that you should go watch. But the idea of coupling that together with the motivation of that next logical question, that is next level right there. That's talking about, you are talking to the mind and the heart and the mind of the person who's your viewer, and they will say, you get me. You're thinking about me. This is cool. That is fantastic stuff. Hey, if you like these ideas and conversations and want help applying them specifically to your own content, then you should join us in the Green Room. The Green Room is our private community here at Story Greenlight that's all about helping you create the next level of impact in your content and in yourself with the support of an active community of creators like you. There is some powerful stuff that happens in there. To find out more, hit up the link in the show notes or in the description below.
it goes next level with, especially like you have any other element to your business. I feel like every business model should include a YouTube channel or some form of social content. Okay, well, when that person is done consuming your content, do they feel like a stranger or do they feel like they get to know you? I'll get almost 99% of the people that will come and sign up for a consultation, a coaching, like whatever. And they're like, man, I've been binge watching your stuff. Or I feel like they'll recount a story I forgot I told or something that happened in a video.
Yeah.
And they're cracking up laughing. It's like, oh man, I've been waiting to talk to you. It's like, you did this when you and I'm like, yes. And it's like, I'm still introverted. So it's like a little weird for like 30 seconds. And it's like, yes, I did go with my dad. So I make sure I got my preferred cereal as a kid. So, it's like, but that is really is building like true community because I care about your consumption time because I know I only am going to get a little bit in. So am I going to honor that time or am I going to waste that time? My thing is like, if you come here to the channel and these are questions that you're having, you should be well served here. Your search is over. You're good. They should have a relief when they're done watching your video, even if it is a next logical question that is for them, because it always is. But they should have relief. And so I just feel like every video that you're creating should have some form of a pain reliever baked into it.
It is clear to me that you put a lot of time and a lot of thought into thinking about your people and the people who engage, the people who, the people that you're helping, the people you're serving. I love that. That is so cool. That is so cool. I want to circle back to something that you said earlier. You said when you were first working with your coach, you said to yourself, I didn't hire this guy to stay the same person. It's clear that you've become a different version of yourself as you've gone. Mm. What are some ways that you've seen yourself changing as you go through coaching and as you go through creating and now as you help other people?
Wow. The way I've seen myself change is one, getting to that version of myself that I saw in my mind in 2015, getting to her exposed to me like the limiting beliefs that you all have. And we'll say like the words limiting belief, but you now have a list of what they actually were or what they actually are. But to get to that next level, there's some other things that you have to do to like kind of refine and chip off some of those harsh edges. So for me, I guess to sum it up some is just to say that, yes, I've grown and yes, I've done a lot of things, but I would say I'm always now looking to, how can I word this? I'm looking to find out what is going to make me uncomfortable. Where are those parts at? So yeah, it's like when my coach hired me and I was like, yeah, I'm not going to stay the same. I didn't want to remain the same. I wasn't trying to make a personality. I was literally trying to become like a fully realized version of myself. And in doing that, I uncover areas where it's like I'm afraid or I'm scared of something. And it makes me ask and like go, not wait for the fear to come to me, but go to it and be like, what is the deal here? I expose it for myself. So instead of like getting to a point to where you're feeling exposed, but going into situations where you have to deal with that constantly. So the growing has been an incredible process. It's not always comfortable, but I'm always like searching for like that one experience of like getting into discomfort with doing that 90-second video. Now I search for discomfort, and that's how like I've been able to like continuously grow for myself. Like that's just been my thing now. It's like, I don't know. I don't know. It's kind of hard to describe.
Yeah. I tell you, one of the things we always talk about a lot at Story Greenlight is the idea of the master story framework. How just the overall function of any story is how a character wants something, overcomes obstacles to get it, and experiences transformation as a result. And there is something truly and deeply foundational about that, because it's not just about how you tell a story. It is literally saying, this is how we are living our lives. If we're standing here in our life and saying, well, I don't know what I want, then pretty much anything will stop you from moving. But then if you say, okay, I know what I want, then you're going to get all these obstacles cropping up. And especially as creators, especially when we're putting content out in the world, some of the biggest obstacles we face are those limiting thoughts, those internal obstacles, all that trash talk in our head. Any specific examples that come to mind for you for limiting beliefs that you used to hold on to, that you've been able to overcome, those obstacles?
It would be that like nobody wants to listen to me. That was like a huge one. Like I'm either too young at a point to where age makes you irrelevant. And like some stuff you figure like, well, it's got to be experience that makes you, worthy to speak on this. I definitely was curious, when I first got into YouTube, like because I'm a young Black female, I'm like, is this going to be a problem? Or like, it's like, hell, what am I going to have to deal with over here? So like, it's that hesitancy of like, honestly, who do I need to become here so that I'm accepted kind of a thing was a thought that I had. And at some point, that ultimately is a limiting belief because you're creating like a fake shell version of yourself instead of trying to become a holistic person that is happy with where you are. You're happy with the who you are kind of a thing. And I think in some levels that uncovers for me that limiting belief of not thinking that you're good enough or that you have to have some facade or approach to presenting yourself in some way that you're not, this false sense of self. And so for me, like the limiting beliefs was like, you're not good enough. You're too young. You don't look the right part, and you're not, you don't qualify because of those things. Has nothing to do with like actual knowledge-based things, but just those things about myself, because I felt like working in corporate America or whatever, you have to fit that corporate culture. And so that made me make adjustments of things that I wanted for myself or things even for my hair. It's like I have dreadlocks now. I had relaxed hair or whatever, and there's nothing wrong with it, but it was not the version of myself of who I wanted to be. I did stuff because I was trying to fit a corporate culture, and I did. But when I wanted to stop playing the game of doing all of that, I cut my hair off completely, and everybody thought you're like going through a midlife crisis. And it's like, no, it's just like I am just becoming very aware of the things that I'm doing that I'm not doing for myself. I'm not doing because I really want to do them. I'm doing it because of something else. And so for limiting beliefs, that was like huge for me of just who am I for real on the inside, and how do I reveal her in like, I feel like authenticity gets thrown around like a catchword.
Definitely.
But that's honestly, it truly is. What is the truest version of yourself, and presenting that as such, so that when somebody sees you in the video, they know they're seeing the real you. And like, that was a huge thing for me, because at first it didn't feel like that. And it definitely wasn't. I felt like I was a character instead of Diana.
I'd be curious to know, we've talked a little bit about this off air. What was it like? I mean, you mentioned the idea of, I'm not, I'm female, I'm Black. How have you seen people react to you within those contexts? I
think once you have some level of like self-acceptance of you being you, like I felt like initially, like I got to come with this corny music, like the ukulele corny music commercial stuff that you see on TV. I'm gonna have to wear a blazer and a blouse and all this extra other stuff on her, relaxed hair and just like a certain corporate looking scenario. That's what I felt like. If I'm gonna show up to YouTube, I have to come like that. I'm being honest with you. It was one video that I saw with Sean Cannell. I love Sean. He's like a brother to me. But at the time, I was just getting to know him. And I'm like, here comes this white dude with this trap music. I'm like, if he get to play trap music, I'm going to play trap music if I want trap music in the video. And it literally was just that simple to like stop, like with the presentation version of doing stuff. When I showed up and I started making content or whatever, you get some people that have that same issue in real life showing up online. So that I expected, and you just kind of get used to those comments and stuff. But over 1,000%, nobody cared. Like, you know what I'm saying? Like, unless they was like racist or whatever already on their own in real life, literally nobody cared. Nobody has ever said or done anything to me to make me feel like you're not good enough or you're not accepted here because you are Black. Like, literally nobody cared. So it was like that in essence. And that's one thing I appreciate and love about YouTube is like the community of the platform and stuff. But it is difficult at times because you get, again, it's still real life or in a live stream. I've done a tremendous amount of live streams. To see those comments come through in real time, and it's like, I'm used to them now. That don't mean my community is. And they are going berserk or like, I can't believe you would say this and blah, 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 blah. And it's like, calm down, y'all. It's like, we're used to this. It's like, we got it. So, you just kind of get used to it. It's like, so that's the thing. It's like knowing who truly is for you, which is just people. And then really those people that just have a problem that just so happen to be online. And I think that realization was super important for me. That's helped me a lot, like just in life even.
I love this. We could just chat for quite a while. I'm pretty sure of that. We are out of time here. And when people say Diana Gladney is fantastic, I want to hang out with her some more, where should they go?
Well, they can definitely go to dianagladney.com. That'll take you anywhere that you need or all of my content. And then, of course, if you're on YouTube, you literally just can put Diana Gladney in the search and I will come up. I promise.
Cool. Good stuff. That is our conversation with Diana Gladney. So many great takeaways. And if you want to apply these kind of ideas in your own content, then that's exactly what we do in our private community called The Green Room. The Green Room is all about helping you unlock new levels of impact in your content and in yourself with the support of creators like you. You can try out The Green Room for a month for free at the link in the description below. I'll see you there.